Welcome back to WKRP.
That's no, dude, you're in the wrong business. You need to be in the voiceover industry.
Welcome back to the Quiet Storm.
Welcome back to the Quiet Storm.
Oh, no! Yeah, so hi, hello, how are you? Welcome to RAM, where we talk everything mortgage, everything in between, and we just kind of have a good time with our friends. So today we have David Rush with Momentum Insurance. And
hello.
These are some of my favorite people, so I'm excited because I'm kind of hanging with the guys.
You know,
she said that last
today.
week.
And one of my other favorite I call him a baby, but he's really good at what he does. His name is Riley.Hood. He is with Ameriprise Financial Services. So again, two of my favorite people.
Definitely not a baby in the industry.
Not a baby in the industry.
We
were just
don't
talking
get it twisted
about, you can learn from the babies because I call him all the time for advice. So.
One of the happiest days of my life was when he got out of the insurance business.
Because he was taking on your business. He was taking on your business, wasn't he?
He was very good.
Riley was my
Riley
go-to
was
insurance guy. I met him at a realtor's up in Bay Area. A little breakfast we had. Was it at Denny's?
It was at a Luby's on Center Street in Deer Park.
Okay, yep. And he just walked up. He was like, "Hey, you look new. What's your name?" And the rest is history. So.
Yep, pound the payment.
And then he left insurance and he got into financial advisory. So I do send a lot of people to them when they're like trying to figure out how to like consolidate or how to build. Go explain the things that you do.
Yeah, so we help out with financial planning, whether that's young savers just getting into the workforce, people a decade out of retirement just trying to make sure they got their P's and Q's, or their T's crossed, but basically just making sure people are on the right track, right? They're on pace to achieve their goals in stride when they want to, and then also if they have 401ks, IRAs, things like that they want help managing because dealing with the stock market is too much trouble for them, that's what we're there for too. So we do both fronts there, both avenues.
And obviously, like, all your talk is very like a different language to me. And I know you can't say a lot of stuff because it's different for everybody. So if I were to send someone to you, which I have, and I tell them it will take you, if you call him, he can have a sit down with you. How long does it take for you to kind of figure out where somebody's at? Like a general just consultation type thing. How does that work?
With consultations, we typically get people scheduled. I'd never make people decide after my meeting. I basically ask them in our first meeting, hey, what are your goals? What interests you? What can I do in this relationship if we move forward is going to provide value to you? Right. If you don't want to talk investments, that's just not even your...
That's not your thing.
That's not your thing. I'll figure out a product that makes the most sense for you just so I'm still compliant. I don't just make trades on your behalf without you knowing.
Right.
But we'll find out the best avenue for you. But in that first meeting, we'll figure out your goals. What I would do for you in those goals, so it's always different for everybody. But I say take it home, pray about it, think about it, talk to the spouse if they weren't in the meeting with us. But if it's something that interests you, let me know.
Right.
But
because
it's absolutely on your boat. Everybody's different. Behavioral finance is a real thing, especially when investing.
Yes.
But yeah.
Explain a little bit about behavioral. Explain that to me.
Yeah. So for example,
spit that out.
So a great way to put this behavioral finance, people always buy a home because they know it's a good investment, right? It's always appreciating, right? Mm-hmm. Almost always, like 99% of the time, real estate is appreciating. Mm-hmm. And if you want to
talking my talk over here.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about other investments that are good for you over time, the only market, right, not the real estate market, not the bond market, the only market that's ever outpaced inflation, right, purchasing power increasing over time, is the stock market, right? Whether that's the Russell, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P. But there's a lot more volatility in the stock market, right? Mm-hmm. People see a lot more risk year to year. Last year, NASDAQ was down 30%. If you bought in the beginning of last year and you sold in December, you would have been down 30%. Most of you would typically think, without working with a professional, hey, I'm losing money. I need to get out of this.
Right.
But look at the markets over 50 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know that information and you would point that out and you would calm people down.
Exactly. I do not recommend selling at the bottom here. Yep.
Right.
Bear markets typically last 14 months.
Right. Mm-hmm.
5 out of 7 years are bull markets.
Yeah. You sell at the bottom, you're guaranteed losing.
So
absolutely.
So 5 to 7 years, there's always a bull market.
5 out of 7 years.
5 out of 7 years.
In really any given period are typically bull markets. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so where are we now?
Oh God,
What's the difference between bull and bear?
I think
Okay,
that's a
so
loaded
bull,
question.
obviously,
David's loaded
good
for
Bull
bear.
is good, like you're rare.
Yeah, positive returns, bear market, right? Negative returns, downward
returns.
pressure, a lot of volatility, mostly on the downward side.
Yeah. So bull markets, 5 out of 7 years, bull
Yep.
markets. That's good to know. Even for
Typically
somebody who
speaking.
doesn't splash a lot into what you're doing, that's something that interests me. Even.
Yeah.
5 out of 7 years,
Yep.
bull markets.
That's a 30,000 aerial
Yeah.
foot view.
So right, okay. So behavioral investments or behavioral
Finance.
finance is when somebody does something specific to, like, they want that quick ROI or like what they understand as a
Yeah.
return on investment.
Yeah, so it's just typically like when you'll see it a lot of times with people who try to get into day trading. You know, they think it's all easy. All these YouTube videos will say it's easy.
Right,
and they'll
because we
get
know
into
YouTube
it.
is known for that.
And, you know, typically speaking, when there's a winner, there's a loser.
Yep.
You know, and they lose the first time and they're out.
Right.
But they lost big on, say, their first time, 10,000 or something like that. But they don't repeat it over time. They don't learn from those mistakes. So behavioral finance will just teach them, hey, stock market's bad. Get
Right.
out of it. Don't get into it.
Yeah, if I could compare that to like mortgages and stuff, like people who are buying for the first time, like first time home buyers.
Yeah.
If they overextend on their first purchase, it can be dramatic to like the future of their next home or
Yeah.
the building, right? Of where you want to go. Like your first home is here and it's a stepping stone. Like, do you say that sometimes people who look at these YouTubes that think it might be a thing get in over their heads and they might make a move that it's like, I wish you would have been more advised on that?
Yeah.
And right, like we don't have a lot of realtors out there. Like people aren't using Riley as they should, right? Like people use realtors because they know about them. Not enough people, I think, utilize financial advisors
Yeah.
so that they can learn and understand that their behavioral finance can go not only on mortgage, which we all know, we all kind of learn how to do just kind of by nature,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you can help them in the other markets as far as like stock and IRAs and
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
I think what
I
you're
wish
talking
more
about is
people-
really interesting because a few years ago I decided I was going to take $200 little dollars, and I decided I was going to go play the market. You know, and the first 6 months it kicked my butt.
Yeah.
You know, and then COVID hit, and gas went to $0 per barrel.
Yeah.
Below that actually, and so I invested in petroleum because I knew it wasn't going to stay there.
Yeah.
You know, and did pretty good, but I think overall I could have done better if I had taken that $200 and given it to a professional,
Right.
you know, who
Right.
knows what they're doing, who
Right. And that's
is
basically
used to the headaches,
and that's
the
basically
nonsense, and the
why
geez.
I said, Riley, you got to come hang out.
Yeah, for
because
sure,
not
for
enough
sure.
people recognize that a financial advisor is just as important as a realtor when you're buying a home.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're going to do anything and you want to invest in your future, if you want to make sure that there's something that you have after you retire
Yeah.
and things like that. And then even with David, because David obviously does all things insurance, so even with life insurance,
But
you know, outside
you
of
used to do lending too, didn't you?
yes, he did do lending.
So you're well versed.
That's why we're peeps,
in all
man.
things.
Jen
Not
ran me out
only
of that
does he have a
business.
great
Riley
voice.
almost ran me out of the insurance business. And
Jen ran me out of
Jen ran me out of the lending.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, I'm sure I had nothing on you when you were a lender. But
Just don't go into the photography and videography.
Man,
okay?
your
you
your
can
job
have-
is safe.
You can have all that. We thought this was a boom mic.
Yeah. I can barely operate my iPhone camera. So
So, okay, so just kind of like to just kind of move a little bit over with you, David.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to ask you a question, how many people outside of regular, because you always say home, auto, life. Home, auto, life. Those are the
Right.
basic three, right?
right.
How many people bundle everything? Because I know people bundle home and auto a lot, but do you get a lot of people that are interested in life insurance? And
You know, it kind of depends on who they're talking to. I mean, there's a lot of captive agents
right?
whose bonuses are tied to their life insurance production. And so they're going to push that component of
Right.
the business a little harder than somebody like myself who has no quotas. I don't have any quotas for life. Whether I sell $1,000 a year in premium or $1 million, it doesn't affect the rest of my business.
Right.
So, you know, you tend to get a little bit more honest and straightforward answers from somebody that's not financially motivated by the advice they're giving you.
Yeah.
And you know, we Riley and I had this discussion a couple times before. You know, when I sell life insurance, it's to replace lost income.
Right.
So I typically, I can only think of maybe one instance where I've actually sold a universal life policy, because those are financial decisions. Those are investment decisions, and I steer all that to Riley.
Right.
You know,
so
I
you
mean,
guys have a relationship outside of you and I having a relationship.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
obviously you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so would you say, but with life insurance, like the biggest things that make factors of like what kind of life insurance you need would be if it was dual income versus there's a heavy income provider.
It's very much a needs analysis kind of a scenario where, again, you know, the older you get, the closer retirement you get. Kids are out of the house.
Right.
You know, you've already put them through college. You know, you really don't have a whole lot of future planning for your income, right? I mean, hopefully by the time you hit 65, you don't have a huge house payment or any of these other things. And, you know, you've got some retirement coming in, hopefully, and nobody's relying on anybody's income at that point to put, you know, for food and shelter.
Right.
So it looks really different when you're Riley's age.
Right, so you and
know.
Riley would have very different policies.
Absolutely.
Oh,
100%.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, so
You
basically,
wouldn't even need one. Yeah.
yeah.
I carry it only almost as key man life.
Yeah.
For, you know, that way my wife doesn't have to battle with,
Yeah.
you know, momentum insurance over
For
my
sure.
book of business and things
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
It kind of tees her up where she can go out and hire somebody to replace me in my own company, because she's already part of the LLC anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So she can just kind of step right in. It
Well,
gives
that's
her
a smart little thing.
It gives her 6 months to get her insurance
Say that again?
license. Okay.
But say that again. She's
Well-
already invested in the company. That's good.
Well, she's, I mean,
Pardon?
in the state of Texas, whether she's on the charter or not,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a sole member LLC, it's community property.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, in the event that my early demise, let's not talk about this, but in the event of my early demise, I hope she's listening, and she's probably planning on putting a pillow
Give a shout
on
out to
my
her.
But anyway, so if something happens to me in the insurance world, she has 6 months to get her
To get her
insurance
insurance
license where she
license.
can actually start being paid the premiums of my book.
Okay.
So it's kind of built in life insurance anyway, right?
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't completely run the business into the ground, and my wife is a much better business person than me. She teaches marketing. She teaches
okay.
business.
We got to get her on. We got to
Yes,
get her on.
yeah, yes, she'd be sitting here scolding me right now. But anyway, so you have kind of this built-in perpetuity plan for your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
They can step in and kind of take over, and my office runs pretty well without me there. There's
Yeah.
plenty of help, so yeah, I have a feeling she would never miss a beat. But I do have a substantial amount of life insurance in place to cover several years of income
Right.
for her to be able to pay somebody else to do what I do.
Right. So, in a nutshell, because I know a ton of people, like when they're applying for a home,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, well, you have to apply, and yes, I have to pull credit, right? 'Cause people
Yes.
are like, do you have to pull credit? I'm like, well, yes. If I try and give you a full-on synopsis of what you can afford, and you don't let me pull your credit, you're asking me to cut your lawn with scissors. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
So I tell,
Right.
so a lot of times you'll hear, I need to consult with you, or you've got to do something. What is your biggest drawback when people are like, well, I don't have time to? With me, it's like, do you have to pull my credit? Like, do you ever have anybody who that you're trying to quote things for, or trying to help them financially, you know, better themselves? Do you have like a drawback that they give to you?
I know a lot of times with us, you know, and that's the thing is, it's very hard to kind of like give specific examples, but a lot of the things that we'll touch base on, like I said, we kind of cover the planning side and the asset management side. But if you're not completely upfront with your advisor about how much you actually make outside life insurance, other investments, things like that, I mean, his recommendation could be completely different.
Yeah.
100% different. He could go a completely different route if you don't give him the correct information or the full scope of things. But a lot of times people will try to just leave stuff out, and leaving those things out could be key information about actually
it's detrimental
changing something.
to a true consult, and me
Yeah.
telling you, like I always tell people, I'm like, do not think about my thoughts of you.
Yeah.
Because really, I don't have those.
Yep.
My job is to figure out how do we get you to a place where you're doing better? Yes.
You know what? I'm going to shift this back to Riley for a second.
Do it.
We're in a real estate kind of world,
Yeah.
right? What are your thoughts on all these the REITs?
Oh, the what? The what?
REITs. So it's a
Real estate investment trust, or right?
Yes. So I'm gonna say this.
Yeah, yeah.
With those, there's absolutely case scenarios when they make sense. Diversification, whatever, right? But that gets into the weeds there about, specifically, because I've seen good ones, I've seen bad ones, right?
Right.
Some of them can pay a pretty solid dividend.
Dividends, right.
Pretty good income, right? More than your typical bond in the past. But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see, especially with rates where they're at now, what
Yep.
the future looks like for that in the future. It depends on the specific fund, right? It depends on the one. I've seen, like I said, good ones, bad ones.
Do you have people that you advise to either purchase an investment or not to? Like, do you get involved in those kind of decisions with
Well, it
like people
depends
that
on
are
the
your
investment.
clients?
Like a home, I would look at it based on cash flow needs, right? So if you're on the planning side, right, we would look at, and you kind of introduced this to me way back in the day.
Yeah.
But debt to income ratios and all of that, and I talk to my clients about that. Before they gear up to buying a home, I lay that out for them. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
I'm like,
the first time investors. Like,
Yeah.
don't overdo your first investment.
Yep. 100%.
Because you will never do a second one.
100%.
I really do hope many of you will actually sit and watch this.
I do too.
Because it's
some
gonna,
great
because it's a
information.
lot of information, and hopefully you'll edit all the good stuff together.
Of course.
But I know it's harder to listen to this stuff. But financial responsibility and just financial freedom, so to speak. But anything that is going to put you in a better position in the future, regardless of the pain it might cause now, is absolutely worth it. So ask the professionals. Just like anything you do in your life, if it's easy, we'd all be doing it.
Yep.
Always.
Well, Riley's all about short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just take a little bit every month and set it aside,
Shoot.
you
Riley is the
will
most
retire
together
a bajillionaire, right?
24-year-old.
Because,
I have every-
man, we spend,
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, God, I would have so much money if I had never bought a new car.
If I'd just done, and did it
Yeah.
really matter? Did you end up? Is that the girl that she was into that car? Are you with her now?
My wife married me when I was driving a Nissan hardbody pickup that was like $6,000 brand new.
Me and my husband got
And,
together when he had a motorcycle and an Acura, like
Yeah.
an old school Acura.
Old school, yeah. So my wife did not. I was actually a ditch digger. I was literally a heavy equipment operator for Brazoria County Drainage District when my wife and I got together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So no, she did not marry me for money.
Yeah, I can say the same.
Yeah.
It was definitely the voice.
It was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was just pure physical lust. No. She would die if she heard.
But
me
no,
say
how
that.
many
Yeah.
times though? How many times do you say? Because I say it because honestly, I'll meet these like young realtors, like killing
Yes.
the game, young lenders. I'm like, man, had I only been doing what? Because our youth, although
Yeah.
sometimes they drive me crazy, some of them are doing things that I wish I'd have been doing. Like
man.
Riley, like not to skip over that. Riley is
No.
so put together at 24.
Yes,
Like-
his financial intelligence.
Don't listen. Don't say I tried.
Yes,
no,
no.
this dude is together.
His
Yeah.
financial
So if you can
intelligence, his
start
maturity
early-
are head and
Yes.
shoulders above
If you-
99.9% of the population.
If you can start
Yes.
early on your future finance, you are in a better position than I was, because I was a knucklehead, not worried about anything but finding myself when I was 24. And finding myself cost me a whole lot of money. Whole lot of money.
I
I found myself in a ditch quite a bit.
So, anyways, if I knew now what Riley already knows, good Lord, when I was
man.
24.
I think the secret sauce to wealth building is own your situation, be honest with yourself about what you can afford,
Yep.
hold yourself accountable to a plan.
That is
Write
beautiful.
that for
Never
20 years,
pretend to be what
and
you
you'll
want to be.
fine.
That's gold. Right
Never
there.
pretend to
That
be
is
what
gold.
it is you want to be. Be honest with, I'm not there yet.
Yep.
How can I get there? Like
That's
you can't.
essentially the secret sauce.
You've
That
got
is.
You got to be honest with the guy in the mirror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
You gotta say, I'm not there yet. How do I get there?
Right. I could do a whole show with Riley. I
You
know
know?
I could. I could just
You just
literally.
did.
Yeah, no. I mean, like where he's just got the mic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would love for him to literally kind of speak to kids that are like 15 years old in high school and say, hey, here's some of the mistakes you might be making, and here's how to correct them now.
Right.
Like
You know.
financial responsibility class.
You or I could stand up there and do that, and they'd be like, "Who are these old geezers telling us
Yeah.
how we?"
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Gonna
know.
have the
Yeah.
youngins doing it.
But
Right.
this guy's like,
You
I'll tell you
know,
where it started. My dad taught me Dave Ramsey principles young.
Dave Ramsey.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, just literally since before I ever even worried about bills.
You
You
validated
should be
your credibility
saving
right now.
25%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Things like that.
Were you one
know?
of my wife's students?
I
You
was
were not.
not.
Okay,
I was
your,
not.
your brother is right.
My
So,
brother is, yeah.
my wife actually teaches, or not anymore. She had it up till last year, I think, the dollars and cents in high school. She
Yep.
teaches the Dave Ramsey.
Let's give a plug to that. What does your wife do?
My wife is a marketing distributive education teacher for Deer Park High School.
Okay, and she teaches financial responsibility.
As one of the courses,
As one of the courses.
yeah, and she,
Okay.
she teaches entrepreneurship,
Very nice.
I was in that class.
sports marketing, fashion marketing.
All the things that are available.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of real world application stuff. And her background is not teaching. She has a degree in marketing and management from Texas A&M.
Okay.
She ran her dad's business for
Sure.
many years. She's kind of been there, done that. So teaching for her is a real passion. It's certainly
Yeah.
not about the money, because her value in the market would be far
For a much
greater
greater,
than what she's doing now. Yeah.
People who are in it just to make people's lives better.
Oh yeah,
or
she
like-
definitely is.
Yeah.
She's
Okay.
she really takes a passion and has a passion for all of her students.
So we will in the description we'll put David's information, Riley's information. You'll always
Send it
get
to
everybody's
me.
information.
just send it to me. And
So emails, numbers. So if you look in the description, you can contact any of these guys. So Riley, go ahead and give your outro, give your plug right now.
Yeah, financial planning, any of that stuff. Like I said earlier, every conversation you have with me off the bat is a complimentary consultation. I'll tell you what you need to do. If you take that advice and never speak to me again, kudos to you, because you'll be in a better spot. But if you want to have that accountability coach, right, that's really what I'm here for. Let's do it. But my contact information will be in there for sure.
Right. Again, cool. And obviously David gave us a little plug already, but he's with Momentum Insurance.
David Rush
if
with
you need
Momentum
it.
Insurance. Our
Yeah.
office number is 281-542-6081.
There you go.
My website is www.davidrushinsurance.com.
Yeah.
That's not really affiliated with Momentum, but it
Well,
it
you own
screams
it though,
Momentum.
so it goes with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Very user-friendly website.
And it's personally attached to him, so you're not just
Yes.
going to Momentum. You're actually speaking with David. So, and you guys know how to reach me. It's all in the downward description. So, anyways, thanks for coming, guys. I got
Thanks
to
for
hang out
having
with the
us.
guys today. That was kind of fun. You
Thanks
guys
for
are our
having us.
first gentleman guests.
And I didn't see any
Ciao.
wine.
Yeah, what's up with
wine?
that? What's up with
Wine
that?
and mortgages?
Listen. Wham is for wine and mortgage, but I gave you your wake up juice.
Okay.
I
Wake
mean,
up juice
I
and
don't
wine.
always drink wine because I've been good. I've been being really good. So, water, whiskey, wake up juice, whatever it is.
That's what she's going to put on the life.
I'm just going to
insurance
call it
exam.
whatever about mortgage. New
Yes.
title, whatever about mortgage.
There you go.
And everything in between. So, anyways, the importance to these guys, I speak with them a lot on a lot of different things, especially with refis or somebody who's really trying to find out how they can use their equity in their home to do things with Riley, and people who are reshopping and saying, hey, my insurance, my stuff went up. So I have the ability to get you in contact with these guys. So that's why I wanted to get them on here, because they are commingled in everything that I do. But anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for
I
having
enjoyed
us.
it.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
cool. I'm gonna wave. I know you guys are gonna do whatever. Peace. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Wrapped it up. We're good.